So last week, for many of you have probably heard, there was a bit of a, I don't know, feud between CNN and Donald Trump, right? That I guess you would say escalated with Donald Trump reposting a GIF and or GIF, depending on how you pronounce it. I can't remember what's actually proper.
It's a GIF.
I'm a GIF.
It's not GIF. It's not GIF. I would say it's not GIF. That's a furry thing.
It's GIF. Good. It's a goddamn G. So you pronounce it.
Okay.
Anyway,
it sounds like GIF.
It was a relative. I mean, it was a relatively like, but for him being president, it was a relatively innocuous GIF of him of the CNN logo, photoshopped over the head of a wrestler back in I must have been the early 2000s. I remember I watched that episode of wrestling. I remember
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. Like, I remember that storyline in wrestling pretty vividly, because it ended up with Vince McMahon getting shaved or something, and Donald Trump beating up CNN. That, over the past 2 days ago, around 2 days ago, as of today, that escalated with CNN pseudo doxing the Reddit user Han asshole Solo. God. Yeah, right. The person who made the GIF and posted it to Reddit, in an attempt to, I don't know really what the attempt was to do with this, right? Like this, like it seems they spent there was about a few days upon the GIF being published that there was kind of this narrative that it was promoting violence against the media. I didn't really see that. It didn't really scream promoting violence to the media to me. But let's get some opinions on the initial reactions to the GIF. John, you tell me how you feel.
Well, the guy was posting racist memes, but that aside, that was clear coercion and threat from CNN, and that was doxing, pure and simple. And as someone who has had to hide my political beliefs from my employers for fear of getting fired, that is a clear threat to me. The fact that a major media platform and a major network is then saying that, hey, and I can read the parts right here. I mean, I've got the article up by K-File, and CNN reserves the right to publish his identity should any of that change. And after referencing his apology. And the poster himself, after confirming his identity, he sounded nervous about his identity being released and asked not to be named out of fear for his personal safety and for the public embarrassment it bring to him and his family. And then after one paragraph, CNN reserves the right to publish his identity should any of that change. That's a threat. That's coercion. I don't agree with the guy's political beliefs. I don't agree with the memes he was posting. I think they're racist and anti-Semitic. But at the same time, it's a balance of power. That Redditor has no power, and CNN has a platform with millions of dollars and millions of viewers.
So, I mean, let's definitely talk about that a little bit more, right? So the initial statement that was issued by CNN over Twitter, and I'll say an initial statement, claimed that the guy apologized. He posted an apology on Reddit for his behavior prior to CNN ever reaching out. Prior to CNN ever speaking to him. And I'm sorry. The initial statement they said was after they reached out to him, he posted the apology. And then upon getting backlash from that, they said it was before.
But the post itself says, on Monday, K-File attempted to contact the man by email and phone, but did not respond. On Tuesday, Han Solo posted his apology to the subreddit and deleted all of his other posts. Then the next day, he spoke to K-File. So, they reached out to him, they left him a message, and then he deleted everything. And then he tells them, hey, I'm afraid for my identity being posted. Please don't do that.
No. The issue was the point I'm going to make is that upon getting a blowback from this whole thing, the whole feedback from online, they claimed that they hadn't spoke to him at the time the apology was posted to Reddit. Obviously, that's a bit of a weaselly way to say we reached out to him, but we didn't have direct contact. We didn't go back and forth. He knew we knew who he was at the time of making the apology. But Adair, stop sexting for 5.
I'm not even sexting anymore.
Tell me what you.
I'm flirting, but but
tell me what you of the GIF.
I feel like it's an issue that they did blackmail. I have zero problem with racists being doxxed. I mean, honestly, I think KKK that what's happened right after the Mike Brown murder in Ferguson was a great thing. A lot of racists were exposed. A lot of them were doxxed. These were people that were working as cops, correctional officers, everyday folks. If you're gonna post racist shit online, I don't feel bad if someone wants to come, if someone comes by and exposes you or sends your information or your racist shit to your personal woman. I do have an issue with blackmail, and that's exactly what CNN did. CNN did not just like, this is so and so. They posted this GIF. Here's a bit of background on them based on their Reddit, saying all this racist shit. I have zero problems with that, but I do have problems when you're essentially trying to leverage them because you felt personally attacked because they made a GIF of you, of your logo getting beat up. Like
that's the thing, right? Like they went like for a few days they tried to pretend as though this GIF was promoting violence, and I keep going back and forth between pronunciations. As this GIF was promoting violence against the media. It wasn't really. It's like it came across as a little bit of salt because CNN, as we know, is only barely more trusted than Trump is. And, you know, the mainstream media is not a particularly trustworthy institution in America anymore for a variety of reasons, right and wrong. And it comes across as a little bit, it's childish and petulant. You know, like they didn't go after Han asshole. So, and I agree with you, Adair, right? This is not an issue of me caring about whether racist or get doxxed or not. It's just like, this is not an issue of me caring whether like racists become exposed to the limelight. This is an issue of and this is not even an issue for me of balance of power. This is an issue for me of intention. And there is no way you can convince me that CNN gives a shit about racist, like the racist machinations of what's going on Reddit. Like there's no way you can convince me that like CNN. I would love, honestly, if CNN was going to start going vigilante and start exposing, you know, they don't start exposing the identities of these people in these communities, because the community in question was r/the Donald, but they're not. But that wasn't the motivation, you certainly can't convince me that CNN is trying to, you know, make racists afraid to proliferate online when CNN is also responsible for platforming Richard Spencer. Like those two things don't work in my head together. You can't say, okay, well, CNN really cares about racism and making sure the internet is not a safe space for racists, but also they want to make sure that this, you know, and we throw around the word Nazi a lot, right? Because words have meaning, and it's important to, you know, label. Even I think it's important to even call proto-fascists. A lot of people are just proto-fascists and dickbags Nazis, because, you know, it really communicates the road that they're on and as a slippery slope to full Nazism. But Richard Spencer is an actual Nazi. It's like Richard Spencer is an actual Nazi, and they platformed him and they made his message available to hundreds of thousands of people. And now you're trying to convince me that they care about racism and anti-Semitism? No, Richard, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean that was part of what really stuck out to me. And what made it really hard for me to swallow was how CNN basically did like what we saw from Tracy before about when he had that run-in or confrontation with the congresswoman, and made it a big deal out of nothing. And so CNN, seeing some of the journalists there genuinely straight-faced try and make a case that this was, you know, a dramatic assertion of violence on it, but then they didn't really have the same type of reaction to something like the NRA ad, which I think was a much more overt call for violence against leftists and against the left in general. So that to me is one, along with everything that you guys mentioned as well, but that especially stuck out to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is not needless concern trolling to me. I just don't think CNN has the right motives in mind for this. Mm-hmm. It's like they definitely don't. Right, like this is all about their pride being hurt, because functionally what they should have done, and this is not where I want America to go in terms of political discourse, but they should have just had an intern make a GIF back.
Yeah,
you know, people. Yeah,
I feel like there's a SpongeBob meme that would have been appropriate or something.
It would have been an appropriate response. It would have showed it would have been an appropriate reaction to what happened, or you ignore him. Like, you don't try to convince everyone that you've been, you know, the victim of violence.
Yeah, if you want to still convince people or try and portray that you're a legitimate news organization, at least, you know, like, just ignore it. That would have been appropriate.
But if you do that, right, then you're letting the Donald Trumps win in the world, because, you know, one mean GIF about your shitty company is equivalent to actual violence because your little company's feelings got hurt, and you can't make a GIF back because then that's too childish. But you can sure as hell go on ahead and blackmail somebody, even if they're a literal piece of shit like this guy is.
Hey,
come on,
wait.
come on.
Where did Adair go? Why is Eichenwald in this group? Like, what happened there?
What?
You didn't hear about Eichenwald suing somebody for tweeting him a GIF? Like that's essentially what I feel like CNN. They just escalated it.
Eichenwald was almost that's the difference. Eichenwald was almost killed by a meme. So like, you know, I can understand him being more upset about this, but really, for me, I think people are trying to compare this to like a Nazis being punched. It's nothing like that. This is nothing like Nazis being punched. Like, only superficially is this kind of like holding Nazis to account for what they do. And again, CNN has no interest in actually combating the material causes or structural causes of racism and anti-Semitism. They have no interest in combating, you know, making sure the message doesn't proliferate. Like, they just got their feelings hurt, and they went out there and they dug up dirt.
Or the violence. I mean, there's plenty of violence that's a part of all of this as well.
Yeah, and there's plenty of violence. Like they proliferate the military-industrial complex message basically wholesale. And like, frankly, what was troubling to me, and this might sound like, you know, again, me just speculating needlessly, but they obviously went out in search of what this guy was about, and they could have found anything. It's like they really could have found anything about him, and I want, or even her. They could have found anything about him or her who did this, and most likely him. Let's be honest, but anything. And what would this conversation be looking like if it wasn't for the fact that he was a racist and anti-Semite, you know, or at least performing that role online, as we've talked about in the past, because that's really how people communicate at a certain point. But like, what if he was just posting dick pics to our After Dark, or whatever it's called, or our Guys Gone Wild? What if he was just writing weird, like creepy, like sexual Harry Potter fan fiction? Would they have still threatened to expose him too? Would they have still like reached out? I mean.
Probably.
And see, that's where it becomes like a problem, where it's like this wasn't done because he was a racist. His racism was incidental. And
like I was going to say about that, getting back to me, like I would have been fired from my last job had my account ever been found by my employers, just because of how really conservative they were. And, you know, to have that threat over my head was one of the main reasons why I remained anonymous on the internet for so long. And to have a major multinational corporation who, like you said, got their fifis hurt and decided that they were going to threaten this guy, that speaks to me on a whole different level. I mean, what happens if Neera Tanden comes after me? You know, right now it's just nothing.
Well, here's the thing. Considering how effective Neera Tanden is, it'd probably still be nothing.
But she did get what's his face fired.
Well, that's true. She's effectively getting people fired, just not, you know, winning elections. But
right. But that's my point, is that, like, you know, what if how is this weaponized identity going to be used in the future, rather than, you know, this, like you said, this time it's incidental that he was a white supremacist, and so they can use that against him. But what if next time, what if he's something else that he's ashamed of? What if he's just gay but not out of the closet? What if he's, I don't know, anything, I can't even think of anything other that he might want to hide. Just any type of information that he might want to hide, that they can dig it up on him and threaten to release it.
And frankly, this is not really even news, though, right? Because if you make an argument that this was news, like his identity was news, that the person who came up with this GIF was news, then you have the responsibility to release identity. It's like, you don't, like, as a news organization, you can't just go, okay, well, this identity is news if he does something again, but it's not if it's like, but if he doesn't, it's like, no, like, it's either it's important enough to publish or it's not important enough to publish. Like this is actually holding someone to, like, a hostage, and I'm saying, like, and like, basically it's coercion, it's blackmail. Like it is what it is. And I mean, people who are out there defending it are defending it on, like, again, they are defending it on the lines that this person is a piece of shit. And I guess, you know, for people, the casual observer of this show will go, hey, but you guys don't really, you know, you guys don't speak out when Nazis get punched. You kind of just, like, look the other way.
We applaud it. We applaud when Nazis get punched. If you punch a Nazi, I will personally give you a gold star.
Well, you know,
yeah, I'll contribute to your legal defense.
I mean,
all right, Trump.
I'm against political violence in all forms, man. It is what it is. Anyway, but this is not that, because again, there are other issues at play. But I didn't, you know, I wanted to segue into a conversation because the whole CNN thing to me is, like, it's troubling. It blew up out of control. Like, Donald Trump's Twitter account to me is not something that should be ignored because it has actual implications of it. Because, like it or not, he is the president of the United States of America. So there are implications to the things that he's tweeting. Other world powers are looking at it. Other world powers are, like, you know, are trying to parse out what he means when he tweets out, you know, negative stuff about their leaders. But like the CNN GIF thing, like that was kind of just like it was what it was.